Hello everyone, good evening. How are you guys? In our live today, I'm going to talk about webinar support. So one of my passions is event planning, and I've organized about 100 events, both face-to-face and online, for businesses in the UK and Australia. So most of the events that I've organized before were face-to-face events, and they were held in various cities worldwide. And then later on, I also organized webinars both for myself and a client. And so I thought I would share with you about what your role is as a webinar support. Okay, a lot of times you will be asked to support a webinar because the host has to focus on the content or how the show runs or the run of show. So one of the main things that you'll be in charge of is, for example, setting up the webinar itself, like whether it's Zoom or if it's a heavier kind of software. There are a lot of softwares that have come out since the pandemic started. So the first one is to set it up on that platform. You have to know what features are needed during the webinar. Is it just sharing the screen, a slideshow presentation, or do you need to set up polls? If you need to set up polls, they have to be done before the webinar. You have to know what the questions are and what the options are, so that when the webinar comes, you just have to launch it for the audience. Okay. The other thing is to set up the proper time for the webinar. Make sure it's in the right time zone so that it's not confusing for the attendees. And then would the attendees be kept in a waiting room when they log into the webinar, or will they have instant access when they arrive? You also need to know, is there branding that you want to be displayed in the waiting room? Okay, these are just the basic things that you have to know. Then, do you want to have just one presenter, or should there be multiple people involved in managing the event? Oh, hi, I see a pair of eyeballs. Thank you so much for watching. And then what else? There's the polls. You can also set up a feedback after the webinar. Sorry, I'm tilting my face this way because the light is glaring on my eyeglasses. So you can set up a survey that can launch when you're finished with the webinar. Okay, so it's always good to do a test when you're before the webinar, because then you would know, you can anticipate the possible glitches. Hi Regina Sabra and Regina De Leon, and my twin sister V. Hi, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this is something that you'd find useful, because it's webinars, online meetings. This is the same thing. It's something that a lot of people are using now because of the pandemic. So hi! So I'm so looking forward to our course. Yeah, nagko-commercial muna ako. I'm already developing our course. I'll be releasing it soon. So the registration form soon. So watch out for that. So going back to my topic, which is webinars. So those things like what will the registrants see when they click on the registration form? Like, what's the title, what time is it, what day, what's the time zone, and then the back end support of the actual webinar is what are there polls that need to come out during the session, what other features will be required aside from PowerPoint presentation. Most of the time it's a PowerPoint presentation, but sometimes do they need to show videos? Do they need to ask for donations, or do they want to promote, if there's a guest speaker, do they want to promote their website or their Facebook page or their Facebook group? and how do you want that to pop out during the event. Okay, especially if it's thank you thank you, V. Especially if it's if you have sponsors in an event and they are promised to promote their company or their product, you have to make sure that there's an opportunity for that, for them to showcase their product or service during at some point in the webinar. So you have to schedule that. The other thing is knowing when to the other thing is breakout rooms. If there are a lot of people, and it's recommended to have breakout rooms so that there are times when people could interact with each other instead of just listening to the panelists talk to the audience. So breakout rooms, you can have, I think, up to 10 or more. Maybe, I think there could be more. It's probably dependent on the platform that you use. So that's one thing. The key is to know how many attendees are coming, and then to figure out, would you want to assign them to breakout rooms beforehand, or for Zoom to just assign them randomly, for them to be randomly assigned. If you don't know the people, then the best is to just assign them randomly. So you have to know when to send them to breakout rooms, how long will they be in that breakout room. Do you want, also there's a feature where you can set up a timer. So while they're in the breakout room, they'll be given a notification that, okay, you'll be placed back in the main room in 60 seconds. That way they'll know that they have to wrap up their conversation, and whoever wants to talk will be able to finish what he or she wants to say before the breakout room is closed and they're brought back to the main room. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty easy. You just have to know your where. It's just a practice. I've done this with my sisters. I've never done a webinar for myself before, so I had to ask for my sister's help so that I can see what they see. And what we did was we had a Zoom call for each other, but then later on I realized that I can do a test Zoom live if I have a test Facebook group. Okay, so all you have to do is create a Facebook group where there's no one else in it aside from yourself and your friends or colleagues who are willing to test the Zoom live with you. Yeah. So that's one. Breakout rooms. What else? Do you want to have a collaborative session? Like, do you want everyone to be writing in a whiteboard? So that's another feature that you can look into. And webinars can also be done via Teams. Although if it's a Teams thing, it has to be internal, meaning it's a big company, and it's for an internal thing. For Zoom, you can have guests who are not necessarily from the same company. And then aside from that, there are also heavy, but expensive platforms that are available. I've looked into several of them. There's what do you call a Spatial, 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 which is better for socials. Like, you can have the conferences or whatever in Zoom, and then if you want to do socials or networking just as you would in a normal conference, you can move them to Spatial. Okay, because the interface there is different. It's like they're in a whatever setup you want them to be by a poolside, that's what they'll see on their screens. Or if you want them in a club, that's what they'll see. And in that club, they can have a big screen where they can all, for example, watch a music video. Right? So that's one platform. Another one that I've been exploring, and it's the best so far that I've seen, is called Shindig, because it has all the features that I've been looking for, both as a back-end support and as an attendee. Another one that I've used also in the trainings that I've attended is called Hop In. So I know that a lot of big universities and companies use this, but to me it's a bit too rigid, and I find Shindig to be really good because it allows you to like do a check with the speaker before you bring that speaker onto the stage. You can do mic check with that person, and you can see the bandwidth, and if there's a need to boost his bandwidth to make sure that when he goes on stage, his audio is clear, everyone can see him clearly, and things like that. So to me, the winner now is Shindig. That's worth looking into. But I haven't used it. I'm excited to use it and offer it to my clients in the future. What else? One of the main things is as a webinar moderator is to moderate the questions. It's always ideal to have the chat room open during the intro stage. Okay, but once the presenter starts talking, in my experience, it's best to turn off the chat, because otherwise, if the topic is very interesting, then the participants will just keep chatting with each other, and then they miss what the speaker is sharing with them. It's like the participants become distracted. They'll just talk to each other, they'll give tips to each other instead of listening to the person who's supposed to have the authority on the topic. So it's like they missed out on what they signed up to do in the first place. So my suggestion is turn it off when the presentation is starting, and then you should, if it needs. Okay, sorry. Another option is for them to ask them beforehand to send their questions in advance. Like if you have any questions about this topic, please email us at, then give the email address where the questions will be monitored. And then your job will be to pick the questions that are, most relevant, most popular by the people. And then during the live Q&A, your job as a webinar webinar support, there can be more than one depending on the number of people. But if I've seen a webinar before where there were almost 1,000 in attendance, there was just one moderator. But if it's a conference, you need maybe 3 people to support it. But then when the Q&A opens up, it's like it will just rapid. It will just imagine hundreds of people sending their questions all at the same time. So your job is to filter them, and then let the copy and paste it just for the presenter or the moderator, just so that they'll know what questions to answer. So that's your job, to filter. If it's the same questions, kasi then there's no point in repeating the questions. So you filter the questions, or if it's something that is not relevant to that subject, then you don't address that during that session. So what else? We have the intro, the body, the closing. What else? So the most important thing is you can have a run sheet that specifies 1 hour before, this is what we do, tech checkup, and then 15 minutes before we start the countdown so that the people start talking, and then at the hour we open the doors, and then it starts, and things like that. You have a run sheet for that, and then you test that. So you run an actual test webinar, and you follow everything, and then to make sure that there are no glitches, and you can plan out what are our backup in case this happens or that happens. Okay, and then it's always important, just like in any event, to collect the feedback of the people, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that they really got what they signed up for, or whatever you promised, you and your organization promised them to get out of that session. So make sure to get their feedback, whether while they're there in the conference or for it to be sent out after they attended the event. That way you have learning, because data is information. Data is information. No, data is going to help you in planning your webinars in the future. Like what worked, what didn't work, what can we do to improve it better, or to improve the content or the delivery. So I've said a mouthful because that's my passion. I really love doing this, and online is something that I've been really keen on learning lately. So if any one of you are into online events, please let me know. I have a group for that. I'll send you the link for my Facebook group. It's called the um, Corporate Events Worldwide. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, I'll send you the link to my Facebook group. It's an international group. It's a small group, but that's where I share trainings all about hybrid and online events. So for anyone who's interested about storytelling for kids, I'll just plug V. Arboleda. She's watching right now. She does, you can go to her page. She goes live, I think at 7:40 p.m. tonight to do storytelling for kids. I think it's going to be in Filipino. So for those who are outside the Philippines, who are not Filipino, sorry, maybe she'll have something English soon. But she's a fantastic storyteller, and she happens to be a virtual assistant as well. So whenever I watch her storytell, I just can't help but smile. Like, my cheeks would hurt because she's really good, and the kids really engage with her when she's reading a story. So if you're interested, if you have kids and you want them to develop love for books, for learning, then yeah, just check out her page. V and I are kids at heart, me and my sisters. So yeah, do check her out. So I'll leave you with that. I'll see you again tomorrow, guys. It's a Wednesday hump day. My goodness, it's already Thursday, and before we know it, it's Friday, and then it's a weekend. So fast. So thank you so much for being here. I love seeing you all. Hi Ren, you made it. I was just saying goodbye. So please do watch the replay, Ram, so you can maybe this is something for you. Maybe this is something that you'd like to do also, being a webinar support. Okay, whether it's a support for someone, or if you're doing the webinar yourself, if you want to talk about something that you're an expert on, you can definitely learn something from this live. Hi Bing! Oh my god, you guys are showing up. Is this the right time for me to do my live? Have I got it wrong all this time? Doing it at 5:30, 5 o'clock. So let me know, guys, if this is better, okay? Because that means I'll have a gap between my work with my UK client. I'll have a bit of a break before I do my live. Let me know. We're all doing experiments here. So yes, if you're watching this live, please give me a reaction. And then if you're love, thank you. That's interesting. And then what do you call this? Please let me know what you got from this content. I'd really love to know. It fuels me, and it keeps me going also to hear from you guys. So please comment. And then if you happen to be watching this on replay, please comment replay and let me know what you got out of this. If you're interested in more webinar or online event training, let me know also, so I can add that into our group posts, or any trainings or information that would be helpful, or platforms. Let me know. Because yeah, I think after the world has experienced almost 2 years of online events, when the pandemic is over, I don't think we're going to go back to just doing it very minimally. I think it will very well continue, because a lot of families experienced, and this is a fact, in one of the webinars that I've attended, is that families now tend to opt for hybrid events, where they'll have the option to attend conferences face-to-face or from their home, because it gives them so much flexibility. They don't have to travel. It's in favor of the companies, because they don't have to spend as much. Because if you send someone on a face-to-face conference, you'd have to spend hundreds of dollars for the flights, for the conference. But if it's just an online conference, it can cost just a couple of $100, and you'll have access to the materials for a month. Some people do that. You have access to the materials for a month, so that you don't have to rush. You can just learn it at your own pace. So I think it's here to stay, because families have had a taste of the convenience of watching having hybrid conferences. Yeah. So there's definitely market for us who want to be professionals in that industry. I know someone who's delivered, I think, 300 events last year, all online events. Her name is Melissa Mosher. So anyway, yeah, so I'm very excited about that. Happy to have you here. If you know anyone who would find this, our community, helpful, then please invite them to our group. And if you have any questions about being a virtual assistant, please feel free to post them in our group. Okay, so that everyone will have an opportunity to answer your question. That's why I don't answer it immediately, because I'm waiting for you guys to jump in and give your thoughts. Okay, you're more than welcome to give your thoughts or your feedback. If you share the same question, let us know also. Okay, all right, so I've already overstayed my live for you guys. I hope you all have a good evening. What's your dinner? Or if you're in another country, what's your breakfast? What's your snack? Are you having tea? Are you having coffee? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Bye.